Hello, this is Reese Jones with Cardiff Met Sport TV Radio, coming to you live from our studio in King Court campus. I have got a couple guests and a couple stories to go through today, but to start off with, we're going to start with a news roundup for the sports going on campus. Here's Quiva with the news.
It's Wednesday, and here are your top stories today. 7 heaven for the women's footballers, and Met student shines bright for Team GB at the European Championships. The Cardiff Met Women's Football Club beat local rivals Barrytown United 7-1 at the weekend in the Advan Premier League. They now sit second on the table, 4 points behind rivals Swansea City.
I said this in an interview the other week. I said we've got the depth in terms of I'm not reliant on one player carrying the team in terms of the goals.
The men's football team continued their success this weekend when they beat Kevin Druids for FC 3-1. Met look to continue their winning ways next weekend against Connah's Quay. Former archer Sophie Ingle helped Chelsea FC women lift the Vitality Women's FA Cup this weekend. The Chelsea women beat Arsenal women 3-0.
Chelsea have dominated the FA Cup final of 2021. They scored early. They should have had 5 by half-time. They now have 3. Arsenal have been outclassed and beaten out of sight.
First-year student Jade Atkin has made her Team GB debut in wheelchair basketball at the European Championships this week. Atkin was top scorer against Turkey, managing to score 20 points. And finally, Cardiff Met Rugby are searching for their first away win of the season this week against Swansea University in the Bucks Super Rugby. After suffering another away defeat to Durham last week, where they lost 30-21, they now sit 4th on the table in the league. Can the Archers get back to their winning ways?
We know that both the Swansea and that Cardiff game to finish into Christmas, they're going to be cup finals, aren't they? They're the 3 Welsh teams. That whenever we play each other, it's bragging rights. We can't hide away from that, and we know that Swansea will be targeting that fixture and looking to make it a real special night for their fans. And we've got to make sure we bring a performance to match, which we're confident that we can. But we're just looking forward to all these games.
Okay, so that was the news on campus. I am joined here now with Joe Penrose. Joe, how are you doing today?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
All right, so Joe, you're going to be talking me through a bit more in depth about some of the stories that have been going on with sports on campus. So start me off. What are we going to first?
Yeah, well, there's been loads of amazing women's sport over the last week. So we're going to start off with a women's story. So the Cardiff Met Women's Football Club, they beat Barrytown United 7-0. No, 7-0, 7-1.
7-1.
Yeah, over the weekend, which is pretty mad. I was looking at the stats earlier, the table, and actually they've got the biggest goal difference in the league at the moment, and you can see why with that.
Yeah.
I think because of that performance, 2 of the Archers girls were selected for the Adrian Premier League Team of the Week. So that was... Okay. Yeah, Eliana Chavez and Liv Thompson, both with abrasive goals, so 4 goals between them in that Barrytown United game. So no wonder they're in the Team of the Week.
Yep.
So greatest goal difference in the league. I mean, they're second in the table at the moment. Swansea City are still ahead of them, but they've got a bigger goal difference than them. So I don't know. I feel like we could definitely be fighting higher. They're playing Cardiff City this Sunday, who are currently on the same points in the league as them. So I think that'll be a really crucial game.
Yeah, it's a big game. They're... it's kind of us and Cardiff City and Swansea are kind of the top 3 that we're kind of fighting for any kind of places in it, right? Fighting for top of the table.
For sure, yeah. So any game that's including any of those, it's going to be, an exciting game to watch. So yeah, definitely look out for that one. And yeah, there's been more Cardiff Met success, I guess. So Cardiff Met alumni. Sophie Ingle over the weekend was playing for Chelsea in the FA Cup final against Arsenal. They won 3-0. It was a very one-sided game, and Sophie Ingle had a huge contribution in that. Obviously, she's Wales captain as well, and she was talking earlier about how kind of going forward now she would love to make a Champions League final and hoping to qualify with Wales. This year. So she's got still a lot to do that she wants to do in her career.
Yeah,
but it's a pretty decent one so far.
No,
already.
It's not a bad start for her. Honestly, I know last week she captained the Welsh national team against Greece in a 5-0 victory. So I know that's been going quite well for them. I know that they're close to automatic qualification, but I think it's going to be similar to the men's national team playoff scenario, where they're going to get a playoff spot as opposed to automatic. From my knowledge, anyway, I believe only top of the group gets automatic promotion, and I believe it's France that's top of the group right now. So yeah, they're definitely in the hunt for that, and Sophie Ingles a massive part of that. So good to hear she's doing well. What's going on with the on the men's side of things with the football?
Yeah, so the men's, they had a 3-1 victory over Kevin Druids in the Premier League on Saturday, Cymru Premier League. Yeah, after that win, number 9 Adam Rosgrove was named in the scorers 5 on form after that win. So yeah, he scored, I believe, 2 of those goals, maybe just one of those goals. So yeah, they're doing pretty well as well. They also face Connah's Quay this Saturday, so they'll be looking to extend their winning streak at the D-side Stadium as well. Yeah, so yeah. Women's football, men's football's doing pretty well. I also kind of wanted to say just about the women's football and stuff. I think it's really cool that the coverage is getting a lot better, like on the telly as well. Obviously, like, I don't know, seeing Cardiff Met players kind of go and, like, I don't know. Yeah, just the coverage has been great. Like, there was a really great atmosphere at the game. Like, I'd love to see more. I would still say, like, at our campus, there's not enough people coming out to support the women's football. I think there's definitely still more people coming out for the men's football, even though I would say they're probably doing a lot better than the men kind of in general at the moment. But yeah, it was really cool to see such great coverage over the weekend. And yeah, it didn't just feel like a tick box exercise. And I remember Sophie Ingle actually saying that it's been like 100 years since like football, like women's football was banned. So it's kind of like amazing to see like the progress that's been made since then.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. And then just touching on the men's football, I know I saw Adam Roscoe in that 5 on form, that Scorio's 5 on form as well. And I've been thinking every time I've seen him play, because I was here when he was here a few years ago when we played in the Europa League playoff and that sort of thing, and he was kind of carrying our front line on that front. And then he's been off and played at Wimbledon, I believe. He's been at kind of semi-pro and like professional level, and now he's come back to Met. And I know at the start of the season anyway, I was going to a couple of those games, and it wasn't going as smooth for him as I thought, but I think now he's starting to hit a stride of form, which is good timing given, you know, we're in the cup final in the next few months, and we definitely want to build up our form. And I think having a striker to guarantee some goals like he scored on the weekend, you know, that's absolutely massive going into that kind of fixture. So good to hear the men's and women's football both being very well covered, and they're both doing quite well at the moment. Very good to hear. What else is going on?
Yeah, well, let's head to the courts now and have a chat about what's been going on there. A lot of success for the Bucks men and women's teams over the week. But yeah, let's focus like mainly on the wheelchair basketball. That is definitely by far the biggest story this week. Jade Atkin, Cardiff Met player, currently training here, is playing in Madrid the European Championships over the weekend, playing versus Turkey. Huge 78-12 win for GB.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's pretty huge. And Jade herself dropped 20 points in 15 minutes. So she's a pretty class act. So Team G, I was just looking up now, actually, they're due to play in about an hour and a half against Spain. So yeah, let's hope Jay can make a big impact for the British squad again. Yeah. But yeah, like me and you, we've been kind of a bit involved in the wheelchair basketball. We've been having to create a promo, haven't we, over the last few weeks. That's been really good fun, like getting to know them a bit more and getting involved with that. How was that for you? Yeah,
I mean, I think just kind of amplifying that result, being 78-12, I think the UK in general is getting a lot better at implementing the wheelchair basketball league. So obviously that promo that we've been shooting is for the new team that we're starting here at Cardiff Met in the next few weeks, next few months. And I think that just giving people the opportunity to play and practice is kind of what's leading us to being a leading country, I guess, when it comes to wheelchair basketball, which is good to see. But in terms of the promo that we were shooting, I mean, the 3 girls that we had, they were good sports. They were lovely, and we had them. I was following them in the morning. I was there watching a couple of them doing some workouts, some intense, like hour-long sessions with the physios. And oh my God, I was thinking when I was watching that, I was like, I am like fully able-bodied and everything, and I couldn't do some of the stuff they were doing. They had this like crazy track of like 5 or 6 stations of workouts that they were doing. It was a bit too much for me to even think about. And I was seeing them do it, and they absolutely smashed it. And then we went into the court and had some really moody shots, had some colorful lights, and we all got a go at filming with each of them. So I got to chat with a couple of them, and they seem really excited about our coverage of them, but they also just seem really excited to play and to have a space finally to compete at a decent level. So I've had a good time working with them so far. I'm really excited for next term once everything gets underway to keep it going.
Yeah, it was really good fun to hang out with them and get to kind of like help kind of elevate their sport a bit. And yeah, just like off the kind of think about how amazing their workouts were and stuff in the gym. Like when we were filming them and we had the ball, a few of the balls kind of on the floor, and they just came up and they kind of like, I don't know how they kind of picked it up. They didn't scoop it up. They literally just kind of like,
like a weird
just
palm
grabbed it.
kind of thing.
Palm.
Yeah,
I was like, just like sucked it up into their hand. It's like, it's amazing. Like the grip strength that they have is incredible. Like, yeah, they're just phenomenal athletes at the end of the day. So
definitely, yeah,
it's so cool. Yeah, let's head back to something a bit more. I kind of talked about, I guess, more on this podcast more often as well. So the Cardiff Met men's rugby, always a big one. The Met men are up against Swansea tonight, third consecutive away game. We've got 3 of our guys going down. We've got Rob, Griff and Dan going down tonight. Are they commentating and filming that one? Yeah,
they're going to be, I believe, commentating and I believe live streaming their commentary on Twitter Spaces, on the Cardiff Met Sport TV Twitter Spaces page. So definitely keep an eye out for that because that's going to be really interesting. They're going to be in the crowd, I believe, so that you're going to get kind of a feel for the atmosphere from a fan's perspective, but also these two obviously know what they're talking about when it comes to their Bucks rugby. So you're going to get a bit of expert analysis as well in the stands. For sure they do. And yeah, Cardiff Met will be looking to get their first win away of the season, so yeah, that'd be really good for them. They're currently 4th in the table, but Exeter, Loughborough and Durham are above them. They've played Loughborough and Durham in the last few weeks, and yeah, it just hasn't gone their way. I mean, they're pretty, they're amazing teams, and they're very tough games, and they were close. They came away with a losing bonus point against Loughborough, but yeah, they'll be expecting to win this one, I reckon, tonight, but yeah, it definitely will not be easy for them. No, I mean, it seems as soon as they leave the old King Coyd Fortress on Rugby 1, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to go to plan. And I don't know if it is the atmosphere that we bring, because obviously we've been in charge of a lot of the live streams that have gone out for the home rugby games here. And I don't know, that atmosphere, like for a UK crowd, for a British sport, it's like, even though the numbers aren't like enormous, there's a couple hundred people there, it sounds like thousands. It's huge, honestly. Isn't it? And I've got a feeling that a lot of the games that they've won here at home have been like really close, kind of they've just edged it at the end, and I have a feeling that a lot of that has to do with the crowd that they've got and all the chants and the songs. So I think not having that away from home is definitely a big reason to their away struggles, because they haven't won a game on the road, but they're also undefeated at home. So I hope Swansea isn't too far of a trek, though. I'm hoping we can still get a good result from Swansea. It'd be nice to beat the old Swans, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would be good. I mean, they're going to have a big crowd behind them tonight too, I reckon. But yeah, they're currently 8th in the table, so they're going to be looking to climb up that as well. They're probably a bit disappointed where they are currently, so they'll definitely be coming out fighting. But yeah, let's hope the Cardiff Met boys can get their first win away. Yeah, they've been chasing that top 3, and they're currently 9 points behind Exeter. But a win and a bonus point would do some good at attempting to close that gap. So yeah, just hoping for the best for them tonight. All right, is that it for the old sports that we've got on today? Well, I feel like we can maybe just briefly mention the cricket, just because the Ashes started last night. Definitely. Sometimes we don't talk too much about the cricket on here, but one of my housemates plays for Cardiff Met Cricket, and they had their final training session of the year last night, so they just had a bit of a fun one. So, the mats that they kind of use when they're practicing catching and falling. They had mat racing last night, so they basically just got into teams and just launched themselves at the mats and tried to get it to the other side of the court. So indoors. So it just looked great fun. I saw it on their Instagram. They were having a great time. That would be fun. Banging shoes and just having a bit of fun before their season properly starts in the new year. So I know that they were all kind of up watching the Ashes last night. I don't know how long they lasted, but I know a few people will be. Is it the time difference on that? Is that? Yeah, because it's in Australia, so it kind of starts around midnight, so past my bedtime, definitely. Yeah, for sure. I know some people will be kind of rearranging their sleep schedule around that, but I probably won't be doing too much of that. No, we'll have our worldwide news correspondent, Sam Torrance, to tell us all about the Ashes coming up in just a little bit. All right, thank you very much for joining me, Joe. Very good insight on the sports that have been going on campus. We're now going to move on to a little interview I had with head tennis coach Mike Castle this morning. The Cardiff Met Tennis Club have got a Progress Tour tennis tournament coming up in January, and I spoke with Mike Castle about the prep and all the thoughts and feelings leading up to that tournament here in January.
Outrageous. The guy is so talented, it's beyond a joke. The white meeting is over. Andy Murray is the Wimbledon champion.
Wimbledon, the US Open, the French Open. That is the end goal for all British tennis players. But they all have to start somewhere, and that somewhere could be here. Cardiff Met are hosting the UTR's Progress Tour tennis tournament down at the tennis arena from January 4th to the 7th, and there are loads of students taking part. I sat down with head tennis coach Mike Castle to get his thoughts on the event, starting with the question, what is the UTR and the Progress Tour?
Exactly. So the whole premise of it is that it's level based. So if I have quite a weak UTR rating, like a 5 or a 6 maybe, or a little bit lower, then I can enter a tournament. I'll get 2 or 3 matches against players of a similar level to me. If I do quite well, I move into the next round, and then stronger players will enter that draw. So I might be playing against 8s and 9s, and then when you get to the end of the tournament, that's when you start to see the players who've got world rankings and the players who are competing really regularly and really hunting down the prize money with 12, 13, 14 UTR ratings. They'll start to kind of rise to the top. But what it guarantees for players is that they'll turn up to an event, they know they're going to be relatively well matched against their opposition, and they're going to get 3 or 4 opportunities to play. And one of the beautiful things as well about the UTR is that actually, particularly in the early stages, we actually get men playing against women.
Really?
So the UTR is, it is designed to be, it's designed to cover every tennis player. Yeah, absolutely. It is universal in that regard, and so it's really entertaining to see the girls taking on the guys in some respects, and actually beating the guys in some tournaments. So it's really quite inclusive, I suppose, in that sense as well.
Mike also told me what Cardiff Met were hoping to gain from this experience.
I suppose the showcase event for us is very much going to be in January. There's a £10,000 prize pot, so the winner is looking at taking away a couple of grand. Currently, I think the last time I checked, it was a couple of days ago, we had over 30 players that had entered the men's side of the draw, and then we're looking at around about 20 odd that have entered the women's side of the draw as well. So it's quite a big tournament pool that's going to stretch over the 4 days that they're in Cardiff. I think the goal for us very much as a university is I think always going to be first and foremost promotion, and and drawing attention to the great facilities that we have here, and the fact that we can host these kind of tournaments within our calendar. I think a lot of people have this perception that because we're a university, we just cater for university students, and actually that couldn't be further from the truth. Our big goal is to reach the wider community, and that includes performance players and players that are looking to win money in tournaments. So the UTR is a perfect showcase of that.
You can stream the final of the Progress Tour on Cardiff Met Sport TV's YouTube channel on January 7th. Be sure to get involved. Okay, very good. I had that chat I had with Mike Castle this morning. He just delivers when it comes to information on the tennis that's coming up. I'm now joined with current Cardiff Met Sport TV student Ben Cosgrove. Ben, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well this morning. This afternoon even.
This afternoon.
It's frazzled.
2:30. This is morning for you, isn't it? As soon as you wake up. Me and Ben, about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, went down to the tennis on a Wednesday to meet up with some of the ladies players in particular. We met with the head coordinator of the tennis club, Amy Wright, and she talked us through a lot about kind of the structure of the tennis and participation and how COVID messed it up a little bit. Ben, what was your I know that was probably the first time you'd ever even watched live tennis. I know, obviously, everybody's seen a little bit of Wimbledon here and there, but about as casual a tennis fan as you can be. Yeah. What was your experience walking into the Archers tennis arena? It's
a great vibe that the tennis club have down there. It's so relaxed, and I've seen a lot of sport on this campus, and tennis is not one that I'd seen before. Obviously, you and me went down, filmed a few of their training sessions, and they just looked like they were having fun. There was no stress, and obviously we talked to Amy afterwards, and she was saying how she just loves waking up in the morning playing tennis.
Yeah, Mike talked to me in the interview I just did with him. Talk to me through how often they're training. So I know the top 2 men's teams and the top 2 women's teams, which each include about 4 players each. So there's about a group of 16 of them. Yeah. Most of them are training every single morning, which is kind of baffling to me. I couldn't do that. But I also asked him and Amy as well how COVID kind of affected their participation and numbers. And what did she say when we asked about participation,
Yeah.
people playing.
So she was obviously she's the coordinator for it. So she set up the stand in Nyack and she was trying to advertise it, trying to get people in, because obviously they have been affected by COVID and the men haven't that much. But she was saying to me that female participation in tennis is really taking a dip, and the tennis club are really experiencing that. They do play at quite a high standard, and I know the men's with their participation play at a very high standard in Bucks. But we were talking to Amy, and she was saying they have like 3 or 4 competitive games a year just because of the amount of numbers they have.
Yeah.
So they'll play...
The women's, you mean?
Yeah, the women's tennis,
Yeah.
They'll play against each other, but competitive games, they have next to none, which is, for a sports campus like this, having that type of competition is surprising, to say the least.
But, I mean, I know they're trying to improve that a little bit. They've got some, like, kind of open sessions, some, like, fun social tennis sessions where it's just kind of come along and pick up a racket and a ball and just kind of play around a little bit just to get people playing. And I know me and you on our undergrad here, we did performance analysis as our undergrads, and we had to undergo like a coaching course of some sort, and we both chose tennis, and we were both we were playing a bit of tennis, and you know, we showed up to some of those open days, and those were a lot of fun. I mean, I used to play tennis when I was a little kid, and that, you know, having just the opportunity just to hold the racket and you're like, oh shoot, you know, I'm actually not horrendous at this. I'm actually not that bad. Like, just that initial level of exposure can really bring people into it. But a lot of people don't even know that those are even on, do they? I mean,
no, and I think tennis is such an inclusive sport. Like, you see other sports, in basketball you have to be quite tall to play, or in rugby you need to be quite large. In tennis, anyone can just go and play, and it's a really fun sport to get involved in. And obviously, I don't really understand the situation with the women's where they don't have the numbers, but surely now, once we get the Progress Tour, will be a good advert for that, especially on campus. Surely after that, then we should see numbers picking up, hopefully.
Yeah, and Mike said in that interview I did that he said, especially at the early levels of the Progress Tour, the first couple days, because of the way that the ranking and the seeding works, UTR is the company that, like we said in the interview, that gives out the rankings and the standings and stuff like that. And UTR is Universal Tennis Ranking, and they really do mean it when they're universal, because they've got men playing against women in the early stages of it. It's, you know, it's solely based on level of competition, or level of play that they organize that tennis structure on. So, you know, hopefully they're going to get some numbers going for the next year, and hopefully the UTR tournament brings out some good Met tennis.
Definitely.
Hopefully. And maybe a Met player can lift up that £10,000 prize money. That'd be very nice. I'd like a bit of that. Well, thank you for joining me, Ben, on the old tennis. We're going to move on now to Cardiff Met rugby. As me and Joe stated before, Cardiff Met are playing away to Swansea this evening. One of our rugby correspondents, Dan, sat down with the head of the rugby club, Danny Milton, last week to get his thoughts on how the season's going so far and their thoughts on the rest of the season.
It's up. And it's good! It's good from Cardiff Met. It's a tense one here. The referee blows the whistle. Cardiff Met beat Loughborough 32-30.
Ivanisevic. Oh, is he going all the way? That's marvellous! What a try! Bingo is Ivanisevic. Wow!
Danny, thanks for joining us at a bit of a damp rugby one. We're halfway point in the season nearly now. What are your thoughts so far? How do you think the guys have got on? Where do you think you're at?
I think for us coming out of COVID, it was about driving those connections and giving players that opportunity to play more than anything. And we've been really fortunate across the whole club to have a lot of fixtures and give lots of opportunities. We've started to get a few players back, including the likes of Ewan Shenton, the club captain, tomorrow for his first appearance on the bench since the beginning of the season. I think we're really happy with the 5 wins that we've managed to get. 1 or 2 of the losses, hopefully we think we could have done a little bit better at times, but I think it just goes to show, and is a testament really to that player pathway and the quality of the Buck Super Rugby programme at the moment. That means every week you almost look at the fixture list waiting for an easy one to come along, but they don't come.
And there's space here for Wiltrig. He's charging through, back inside, Roderick Evans. Fantastic try. Roderick Evans drops a shoulder. Oh, he's danced through the midfield. Oh, that is brilliant.
Roderick Evans has hit over 100 points for the season now. How good has he been? How important is he to the team?
Well, we always knew Brad was a talented player, but I think what's pleased us is not just his goal kicking, which has been outstanding, and that 100 points that he's got has been so important for us in those games, but more it's the leadership and his rugby intellect that he's actually brought to it, and that's probably been interestingly one of his question marks was, when he was younger, was his defensive aspect of the game, but the physicality that he brings to his performances alongside that goal kicking has made him an integral part of the team.
The referee blows up, the crowd go wild. It's a Cardiff Met win. Cardiff Met on top.
And then finally Swansea next week as well. A little bit different perhaps from playing the top teams, but again it's going to be challenging surely.
I don't think you underestimate anybody. You only got to see Swansea's results of late, having beaten Hartbury, having come within a very tight game with Durham themselves last week, to know that there's a load of quality in that programme. We know that both the Swansea and that Cardiff game to finish into Christmas, they're going to be cup finals, aren't they? They're the three Welsh teams. We know that Swansea will be targeting that fixture and looking to make it a real special night for their fans, and we've got to make sure we bring a performance to match, which we're confident that we can, but we're just looking forward to all these games.
Very good. Very good insight from Danny Milton there on how the season's been going so far. I appreciate Dan sitting down with him and getting that info for us. Very nice. And like I said before, when I was talking about the rugby going on tonight, we've got a couple of our lads going down in Swansea away to go and watch and commentate and bring you all the action from that game. So if you want to tune into Cardiff Met Sport TV's Twitter, you can go to their Twitter Spaces and listen to their live commentary, and also look out on the Cardiff Met Sport TV socials for highlights of the game. It's going to be a very good game, and this is a very integral part to the season. This can really change where we're going to finish up for the rest of the season. On the topic of rugby, we have had our female rugby sports correspondent Quiva go down and speak to the Women's Rugby Union on the topic of rainbow laces. This week, and in particular today, is Rainbow Laces Day. Awareness for all LGBTQ plus people out there. She has sat down with the Women's Rugby Club and gotten their thoughts on what today and this week means to them.
You wouldn't expect someone to change the colour of their hair, or the colour of their skin, or what they wear. So why should someone have to change who they are just because they play sports? It's that time of year again. Let's lace up, speak up, and tackle LGBTQ plus inclusivity in sports. The Rainbow Laces campaign is aimed at uniting everyone who cares about the sport. It aims to create an environment where every LGBTQ plus person can thrive, whether they train, play, or watch sport. At the beginning of Rainbow Laces Week, we caught up with the Cardiff Met women's rugby team to see what this campaign meant to them.
So Bucks Rugby reached out to us and they said that we are doing this Rainbow Laces Week, and as a club we really want to fully support that, and we've all got rainbow laces. We're dressed in colourful clothing tonight, as you can see, just to show that as a club we really support that. I mean, we have girls in the team who are gay, so I think for them it's making an environment where they feel safe and comfortable.
Moving ahead, conversations need to be had to make people aware of campaigns such as Rainbow Laces and other LGBTQ plus charities, which calls upon sports people everywhere to lace up, speak up, and to tackle LGBTQ plus inclusivity in sports.
The LGBTQ plus community means a lot to us, and yeah, we all have a lot of friends in it, so we just want to be good allies and part of it.
Whether it's rainbow laces, armbands, banners, or clubs changing their badges to the rainbow flag, it's campaigns like this that are making people think different. At the end of the day, every conversation matters. And every conversation takes the sporting world one step closer to achieving the ambition to make sport everyone's game. There are some brilliant players out there, and there should be the facilities and options for anyone that's LGBTQ+ to go and play whatever sport they want without prejudice issues. People can't change who they are, but together we can change the game. People are lacing up to help kick homophobia out of sport. Use #RainbowLaces to show your support. Whatever your gender, sexuality, identity, sport belongs to us. Let's lace up, speak up, and tackle LGBTQ+ inclusivity in sports.
Very good. Thank you for that, Quiva. Very good to hear about the women's players' thoughts on what today means to them. So now we've got our global news sports correspondent, Sam Torrance, who's going to bring us a sports bulletin right now.
In the sports news, England got off to a nightmare start in the Ashes last night as they were bowled out for just 147 on day one of the test after opting to bat first. Australia captain and fast bowler Pat Cummins took an incredible 5 wickets on a day which England will no doubt be keen to put behind them.
Here we go. The Ashes starts now.
The in-swinger from Stark, immediate breakthrough. The roar grows up. Australia can't believe the start they've got away to, and it's all happening at the...
Formula One touched down in Abu Dhabi today ahead of the season finale between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. The track has been switched up to enhance overtaking opportunities, which should serve to add fuel to a fire that nearly boiled over at the previous race. The two title protagonists collided on 2 separate occasions, which even caused Lewis Hamilton to question his arch-rival's driving style. Following Hamilton's victory last time out, the two drivers head into the final race of the season on exactly the same points.
I've raced a lot of drivers through my life in the 28 years. I've come across a lot of different characters, and there's a few like at the top which are kind of over the limit. Yeah, rules kind of don't apply or don't think of the rules, but...
In football, Liverpool beat AC Milan 2-1 to become the first English side ever to win all 6 of their Champions League group games. Divock Origi was yet again the hero as he scored the winner in the 55th minute. However, it was contrasting emotions for Manchester City's Kyle Walker as he was sent off in their away loss to RB Leipzig, leaving Pep Guardiola a frustrated figure on the sideline.
It's red card, definitely. I'm not coming here to say what will happen in the dressing room.
In tonight's games, Chelsea visit Zenit knowing that a win should be enough to secure them top spot in the group ahead of Italian champions Juventus, whilst Manchester United face young boys requiring only a draw or better to ensure they qualify as group winners. Elsewhere, Novak Djokovic has been entered into the Australian Open despite his vaccination status being unconfirmed. It is a requirement that all players and staff prove their vaccination status prior to partaking in the tournament. I'm Sam Torrance, and that was your mid-afternoon sports news from Cardiff Met Sport TV.
All right, thank you, Sam, for that. Now, we're going to cut to our women's football correspondent, Matt Seddon, who is pitchside with halftime of the women's Bucks football going on right now. Matt, what's been going on with the women's football so far?
A long time for Hearts to turn up. The game was due to kick off at 1:45. It ended up kicking off at 5-2. Hearts barely had a warm-up. They got here late, and they came with only 8 players as well. So, as you can imagine, it's been a whitewash this first half for Cardiff Met. It did take them 15, 20 minutes or so to get their first goal, but once they did, it's been raining goals here. It's 6-0 to Cardiff Met. Virtually all different scorers. Nicholson's been the player of the half. She's got 3 assists off corners, and she scored a worldie from outside the box herself as well. So that's the player of the half. The teams are just coming back out for the second half, Reece. So I think it's going to be much of the same. We could see 10 goals or more in this half.
Jeez Louise. Thank you very much for that, Matt. Thank you.
No problem. Take care, guys.
Yeah, cheers. All right. Jeez, 6-0 at halftime. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we were talking about the drama. The game was supposed to kick off at 1:45, and Matt let us know that the other team only showed up with 8 players, like he just said, and we were confused as to if the game was even going to go on in the first place, and so I guess it's kicked off, and I mean, I guess it's 11 versus 8 now, so 6-0, that could be a very dangerous scoreline at the end of the second half there. Very good. Thank you, Matt. We're now joined with Sam Torrance, who's going to elaborate on some of the sports news he just talked about. So Sam and Ben is back as well, just to have a little chat. Sam, what's been going on?
Hello, how are we?
Very good. Very good.
We have got some breaking news, actually, that's come out since the bulletin aired. So 13 members of the Spurs squad have tested positive for COVID.
13?
8 players and 5 members of staff.
Wow, that is... I mean, are they even going to be able to I mean, they're going to probably have to postpone match days and stuff like that.
This is the thing. So they're supposed to be playing in the Europa Conference League tomorrow against Rennes, and they've got Brighton on Sunday at 2, and they are 8 first-team players short.
Oh my god!
Is the Conference League game at home or away?
It is home.
Oh, that's lucky.
But gee, I mean, they're already kind of slim pickings in certain positions on their team. So I mean,
The thing is,
they
UEFA
haven't released who, have they?
No, they haven't. They've got a confidential policy policy over COVID. But UEFA have a policy that says if you have 14 players, you have to play. Whereas the Premier League don't have that. So it's likely the Brighton game will be called off on Sunday now.
Jeez, interesting. Well,
Unless they call up academy members, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be quite harsh to force them to play.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I mean, that'd be poor. I mean, if they're gonna cancel it for a little bit of snow, if you haven't got like half of your team, that would be.
I mean, I'm all for it as a Liverpool fan. I'll force them to play.
Fair enough. All right, what else? What else has been breaking?
So on Liverpool, obviously they broke the record last night as the only English team ever to win every single group game in the Champions League. Very impressive. And Salah broke the record as the highest group goal scorer ever in the Champions League.
How many goals did he have?
I think it was
around like 10 or something.
I think it was 8. Around that.
Very impressive.
In fact, he's just a straight up killer, isn't he?
Oh, I mean, his form. I mean, what? He's already got 20 goals in December.
20 goals
in all comps.
And they still won't give him a contract.
I mean, I heard an interview. Or I saw a Jurgen Klopp press conference that came out a couple days ago on that, and I mean, I kind of believe him to a certain extent. They just kind of said that sort of thing, it does just take time, and I mean, it's not necessarily a disagreement between the two at the moment, but I mean, I think that's just probably not what they're focused on at the moment.
Yeah, I think Salah recognises that the Premier League is the best place to play your football at the minute.
Yeah, he came out and said that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did come out and say that. So, the issue is that you've got players like David De Gea on 400,000 a week.
Yeah.
And then Mo Salah's on 200, which is just not comparable in the slightest.
I mean, Aaron Ramsey at Juventus, who is like 5th or 6th choice in central midfield, so for like 400,000 a week.
Ridiculous. Hasn't played for the last 6 years.
That is, I mean, that money in football is just could be his own podcast on its own. Like that's just ridiculous.
And then you've got Manchester City losing to Leipzig last night. Kyle Walker sent off. Pep Guardiola raging. It's just another setback in the Man City European race, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the game last night, and I think it must be something to do with Leipzig's new manager, the way just the game looked like Leipzig with the team in control. And as soon as Kyle Walker got sent off, that just finished Man City off. They didn't need to win. They were already through in the Champions League.
That
but
is true.
A Pep Guardiola performance does not look like that.
Well, when you've got Liverpool setting records like that, and then you've got Pep Guardiola struggling in the Champions League, he's been at Man City for 5.5 years now. And he hasn't brought a Champions League home. He's got to one final and lost in awful fashion to Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm a Chelsea fan, and I mean, loved watching that. But I don't know. It's like if there was ever a time he was going to win it, like against that Chelsea team, like I thought it was going to be there. And I mean, he hasn't done it now, and I don't know. They're on some. He's gotten the best out of some of his players again, like Bernardo is. I mean. If Salah wasn't just actually dominating the scoring charts right now, him and Bernardo are both kind of fighting for Player of the Year in my opinion. Yeah, I think Salah would probably edge it, but still.
Edge it by a mile.
Well, I mean, we'll see where they end up, but I mean, yeah, he's starting to get the best out of some of his players again, especially his Portuguese players in Cancelo and Bernardo Silva. So I mean. You never know, but it always just seems as soon as it gets to the quarters or semis against a team that you would expect them to probably beat, they just kind of choke in the past couple of years.
Yeah,
like
100%.
What was it against? I mean, against Tottenham a few seasons ago. Like how is that actually happening? That was those were some of the most mental two legs of football I've ever seen. That was crazy. All right, what else we got going
on? So we've got the Ashes. Obviously started last night.
Definitely.
Devastating start for England. They got absolutely battered, would probably be a fair word.
Why is that?
So they got 147 total runs, which in terms of targets in cricket is incredibly low. And what's interesting about that is that, so Joe Root, who's the England captain, actually won the toss. And usually, if you're in a big contest like the Ashes, you choose to bowl first, because ideally you'd want to chase. but he decided to be brave and come out and bat. And then the opening batsman, Rory Byrne, was actually bowled out first ball.
Oh my!
And you put your best batsman out first, don't you?
Yeah.
So he's just gone straight.
So that just set an awful precedent. And then you've got Pat Cummins, who is the Australian captain for the first time ever, took 5 wickets and conceded 36 runs.
Wow.
Which is pretty staggering.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually don't have a Scooby about how cricket works, as you can probably tell by my accent.
More of a baseball fan.
Absolutely not. I would honestly say I'm more of a cricket fan than a baseball fan, and that's saying something. I actually hate baseball, but I mean, even with my limited knowledge, I know that's a
the
rough
Ashes
go.
is like one of the biggest sporting tournaments in the world.
Yeah, on Earth,
it's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really devastating. Like, it's almost at the point where England will struggle to come back from that now. It's such a bad loss.
Yeah, and I mean, with all the news that was going around before on, if they were even going to go with COVID rules and players kind of having to make that decision if they wanted to go to literally the other side of the planet, to Australia. I mean, like that's a big move to be down there for the matter of weeks that they are, and I mean, for spectator purposes, that the time difference is, like I was saying with Joe earlier, that is past my bedtime to watch that one. So it's just going to be a highlights job on that for the rest of the Ashes for me. Anything else on worldwide news?
The biggest news for me, anyway, is the Formula One.
Okay.
I am very excited for this weekend. You've got the GOAT, Lewis Hamilton.
The GOAT versus the young lion, Max Verstappen. The challenger
chasing him down. It's arguably the biggest race in the past 30 years, maybe on Sunday.
Well, okay, so I see it all over Twitter. I've heard everybody on this course, everybody in the classroom talking about it. I don't really have a Scooby how F1 works. I know some of the names. I know Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. What makes this like such a massive deal?
So obviously Hamilton has just dominated Formula One for the last 8-9 years, and he has been in the fastest car by a mile. But now you've got this new Red Bull which can actually match the Mercedes, and then you've got this challenger Max, who's like, him and Hamilton are just so far ahead of the field. And to be fair, Max has dominated most of the year, but Hamilton's clung in there, and now he's got a faster car, and he's won the last 3 races on the bounce, and he's come to the final race. They're both on 369.5 points each. So they're dead level.
Dead tied.
And it's just a straight showdown. It's just a shootout.
It's just whoever wins.
23 races. We've got straight shootout at the end of the year. It's in Abu Dhabi. It's a spectacle. They've changed the track to help overtaking. And like, honestly, in the last few races, there's nearly been fights in the paddock after these races. They've had 3 collisions throughout the season. On the last race, they crashed twice on the way to Hamilton winning. Verstappen got 15 seconds worth of penalties because he takes no prisoners in his driving style, which, as you heard in the bulletin earlier, Hamilton was not best impressed with. It's just a staggering weekend. A staggering weekend of Formula One. You should watch it, Reese.
Well, that's what this upcoming weekend.
It's this Sunday, and the race is at 1 or 1:30.
Jeez, that is. I'm gonna have to clear my schedule for that one, I guess. Cause I feel missed out.
I
haven't seen the. Obviously, we talk a lot being on this course about documentaries and styles of documentaries, and I know the Drive to Survive
on Netflix.
That was called. I know that one. Obviously, me being from the US, F1 is not a massive deal over there. But some of my friends even watched that one on Netflix, and the impact that documentary's had on the vision and the just like how much noise there is around F1 these days. Like, that's all I see. Premier League scores and Premier League reactions, and I see F1 reactions, and that's about it. I just see as soon as the race is over, as soon as something mental's happened in a race, I see 50, 60 people talking about it on Twitter. So it's like I get a bit of FOMO. I need to watch that, and I need to watch the race as well.
Drive to Survive has been very big in picking up American fans, and sort of obviously because NASCAR traditionally is massive in America, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now you've got these American Netflix users who have sort of caught on to Drive to Survive, and there's just been this boom in popularity of Formula One where it was this old man sport, and now it's this modern day exciting sport.
Yeah.
I think it's the fastest growing sport digitally in the world at the minute, in terms of social media following, how much it's grown in the past year. And also with female watchers, they've just like shot up. Which is brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, when you said digitally there, I wasn't sure exactly what you meant, because I know from my performance analysis background that the amount of tech and the amount of money that goes into, I guess, the technology that they use both on analysis and coverage and the distribution of that media with whoever has got the rights to it. I know that there's just so much money put into it that I think they're finally, in just the past couple of years, starting to reap the benefits with how many people, how many eyes they're getting on that stuff. So yeah, very interested. I'm gonna have to tune in, or else I'm gonna
have to tune in. And you, man. I know
you're
a big Formula One watcher.
I'm gonna feel missed out now. Yeah.
Yes.
Any other big stories going on in the world?
The other big story is actually in the tennis, which admittedly isn't my strong point, but I've been doing some research around this. So Novak Djokovic, obviously world number one in the tennis tour, and there is the Australian Open, which starts, I think it's the 6th of January.
Okay.
And obviously Australia are very, very strict with their COVID laws.
Yeah.
So everybody entering Australia has to be double vaxxed. And Novak Djokovic is a big anti-vaxxer, like refusing to get vaccinated. Officially, he's just refusing to confirm his status, which means he's not allowed access to the country. However, the ATP Tennis Tour have listed him on the fixture list, which has caused some outrage.
So they've just thrown him on there and are just going to see what happens in the next month or so?
Are you making allowances for him because he's the world number one? And the government have come out and said absolutely not.
Wow.
So there's a bit of a standoff going on, and if he was to be allowed into the country unvaccinated, they would have to put in a special medical request, and if granted, he'd have to go over on the 16th of December and isolate for 2.5 weeks before he could do the or compete.
I mean, that brings around an interesting discussion. Me again, my American background, I'm a bit of an NFL fan, and I know recently in the past couple of weeks, the Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers kind of fell in the same kind of hot water, where he said before the season that he was, in quotes, immunized, whatever the word is, because he'd already had it, but he didn't actually. The terminology he used, people kind of thought he was meaning that he was double vaxxed, but his exact words, he wasn't actually vaxxed. He just thought he was treated for it, I guess, whatever. And so he wasn't officially vaxxed, and then he got COVID a few weeks ago, right before they played the Kansas City Chiefs. And a lot of people, the NFL came out a few weeks later, or about a week later, gave him a fine of only like $40,000 or something like that.
For a sports person.
For somebody like him with the money that he's on, his endorsements and stuff, it's actually nothing. And people were asking the same kind of question if they were giving him just kind of special treatment because he is a top 5 quarterback of all time. Definitely, he won the MVP last year, and that question is: do certain people like that get kind of special treatment in all kind of facets of the game, but especially with COVID happening right now? I mean, it's an interesting topic of debate, because I mean, if you don't have Novak Djokovic in your tennis tournament, like, that's who a lot of people are tuning in to see.
Yeah,
so it's like you kind of have to weigh up like your morals, I guess, with the numbers, with the viewership numbers and the people you're going to lose from watching it. But I don't know. I feel like nobody right now with COVID has got the answers.
I think Australia's government are very, very strict.
Whereas
like you've got our government who are partying last Christmas, defying the COVID rules. Australia is very much not like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if he actually wasn't allowed to compete, or something happened like that.
No, that wouldn't surprise me either, honestly. No. Well, if that is it for the news, then we are going to move on to a phone call discussion with one of my close friends. He is a performance analysis student here at Cardiff Met. Me, him, and Ben, who you've just heard, have been have been on the same course with him, and on performance analysis. He's now a performance analysis master's student here, and at the moment he is away in Newport at the Wales National Training Centre, working with FIFA, doing data collection and data analysis through that medium. So we are hopefully joined now by Nick Pasquet, performance analysis student. Are you there, Nick?
Good afternoon, I am. How are we?
Oh, very good. It's been a couple of days. I haven't spoken to you in a little bit. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. A little bit tired.
Yeah, a little bit tired.
We're good. Keeping busy.
Okay. Chat to me first before we kind of go into what you're actually doing at the moment. What is kind of your background in performance analysis? How many years have you been doing this, and how did you get involved with FIFA and what you're doing right now?
Sure, yeah. So I over this summer, the same as you guys, I graduated from the SPA course, and obviously that was 3 years. So this journey really started around 2018, and I'm currently doing the masters in SPA as well, down the analytics pathway. And then sort of my main exposure, like initial exposure to analysis, was with Cardiff Met FC. First year I was working as a placement student, and then last year got the role as lead analyst. So that was obviously during the lockdown year, so it was very behind the scenes. Yeah, exactly. not too much on the grass time. No. Long away days to Connors Quay, but you know, it was like working on filming matches where we could, coding matches from home, preparing opposition analysis reports, all that kind of stuff. And then back in 2019, I got a short-term job with a company called Insight Analysis, which is run by an ex-student of Cardiff Met. And this was like a big project collecting data on the 2019 Club World Cup. And that was that wasn't working for FIFA, but that was indirectly going to FIFA through that sort of middleman company.
Right, okay.
And then a year on from that, after having not heard anything for a while, FIFA started putting together their own performance analysis team. And basically I was asked if I'd be a full-time football analyst. And then, yeah, been there for over a year since that point.
Very good. Okay, can you tell us a little bit now about what you're doing in you're in Newport? Is that correct at the moment?
Just got back. Yeah, just
got back. Okay. So what were you doing? I've seen a couple of news reports come out in the past couple of days of people covering what you guys are doing with FIFA. Can you just tell me a little bit about what you were up to there?
Yeah. So that would have been on the 1st of December. We had a big media day. Like you said, multiple news outlets were there. Steve McLaren was there representing the technical expert group, and sort of like the first time this information and like the fact this team exists basically has gone out to the world, because previously it's sort of been under wraps for the last year or so. And yeah, we've been based at the ICC in Newport, which is like a big conference venue, where we've been using the newly released FIFA football language to collect basically high performance data on the FIFA Arab Cup.
Okay.
And you put this, it's not like a massive tournament, but it's essentially FIFA's test run tournament for next year's World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be how much are you, do you know if you're going to be involved in like what sort of things you guys are going to be collecting? I know it's a bit hush hush in terms of the specifics, but what sort of thing are you doing when you say like data collection and match analysis in general?
Well, essentially, the process now is it's out there. The FIFA football language has been released on the FIFA Training Centre online, so the whole language has been released to the world. So that's free to talk about, free to look at. So basically, the process of it is that on each game, there's a team of 25 analysts working on one game, which probably sounds mental because you think if a club might have like 3 or 4 analysts, but it's just a completely new process to the analysis world, and this is why it's probably gained so much media attention, because it's one analyst follows one player for the entire 90 minutes. So instead of like one person going through and doing like a not very detailed team code on a game, you've got one analyst following a whole player, and this allows you to like see everything. And the main thing about this is to get detail on the ball. So a lot of the stuff that's collected already, but with greater detail. But then it's also adding in new metrics off the ball, things like pressing. We can get the exact number of presses a player's made, where they were pressing them to, pushing on to players, which is essentially like closing the space between you and someone that doesn't have the ball. So like cutting out a passing option. And then one of the other things that's completely new is offering to receive the ball, which is like where a player's looking to receive the ball. We had an interesting one that Steve McLaren presented the other day, which was that in I think it was the Euros final against Italy, or maybe the semi-final against Denmark, Harry Kane was playing up front and he made 3 offers in behind, whereas Mason Mount made 50. So they were sort of talking about that they were using that data as a reason why Mount was in the team, even though perhaps on the ball he wasn't great for some of the time. he was the one that was sort of trying to get in behind the opposition. And the sort of scale of it, like the average football data set has around 2,000 to 2,500 events per game, like your classic like Octo or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like what has been done. This FIFA football language is providing in excess of 15,000 data points a game.
Bro, what?
So we're sort of times fiving whatever's been done before.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like an absurd amount of hours. Because I know, I've seen you in your little work zone, and you're just sitting there for 8 hours in front of a computer just coding all this stuff. I know the amount of work and time you've put into this. So I mean, that just sounds it sounds exhausting doing it, but I see the implications, and I'm excited to see what kind of output you guys have got for the World Cup in the next year. So thank you very much for joining us. I know you've had a long couple of weeks with all the work you've been doing, so I appreciate your time, and we will see you soon. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks very much, guys.
All right, cheers. Okay, so really quickly, before we move on to a little football quiz to end the show, I just really quickly wanted to promote my own podcast, little selfish plug. The Metball podcast is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts under the Natter channel, and we've actually created its own channel now. So if you just look up Metball Podcast on Spotify, you will find the first couple episodes there. We are partnered with Ball State in the U.S., our U.S. counterpart, and we speak with students over there about culture differences and the way we do things against the way they do things. And we recommend sports documentaries for you to watch. And we just kind of chat about relevant topics, really, but giving that interesting US and UK perspective. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and look it up on Spotify. I would appreciate the download. All right, to finish us off, we've got Joe here with a little quiz.
Yeah, cool. Well, I thought as we're kind of wrapping up, going towards Christmas now, why not, test all you guys to see how well you know your 2021-2022 season so far.
Okay. Who's taking part? We got...
all of us.
Okay, Ben,
Yeah,
Sam,
all
and Reese.
3 of you.
Okay, I don't want to cheat. I don't want to look at your computer, so give
Okay,
it to me.
first question. So you have 200 seconds max to answer these. Okay, so firstly, Chelsea have scored 15 league goals in their first 7 games, but how many different goal scorers have they had? So the options are 8, 10, or 12.
It's 12. How many goals did you say, sorry? 15?
15 league goals.
Oh.
I know that.
Maybe I'm leaning to 10.
No, I know that.
It's either 10 or 12.
Every player against Norwich, when they played Norwich and they won 7-0,
You're right.
every player on the
different.
pitch had scored at that point, apart from the goalkeeper.
And Lukaku.
Yeah, so I think it's going to
All
be
right, we'll go with...
12.
Are we kind of coming up with a unanimous answer?
I think unanimous.
Unanimous
Yeah.
answer? Okay, we'll go with 12 then. Yeah?
12.
Teamwork makes the dream
You are
work.
correct.
of course.
Oh, Chelsea fan here. I would have been rinsed if I didn't get that right. All right, next.
Next question. Liverpool are the only Premier League side yet to lose this term. What is their current unbeaten run in all competitions?
Oh my God.
Sam.
Sam,
Is it-
come on, son.
18, 19, or 20?
Oh, come
so
on. Off of one
That's so
game.
harsh. Okay.
I mean,
I'm
so they're
gonna-
unbeaten so far this season. So, I mean, how many games
Did you
is there
say
in
this
the
season?
This
Well, the
season, this
current run that they're
term.
on.
This term?
Oh,
Are we
God.
in uni? What's
Oh,
this
God. How many
term?
games have there been in the Premier League?
I don't know.
I think there's
16.
16.
Oh, I don't
Champions
know.
League won every single game. So
That's 6.
EFL Cup.
That's 6 games. They'd won the cup.
I don't know. Should we just...
How many Prem games, sorry, had there
Should we
been?
just go flat out with... We're going to guess this, aren't we? Should we go 19?
19.
Yeah, 19.
I think that's a good idea.
You're correct.
Oh,
We're so good at this.
Wow, lucky there.
All right, next.
Okay, up next, Pep Guardiola became Manchester City's most successful manager in terms of victories when his side beat Chelsea in September. How many games has he won at the club?
Oh, wow.
211,
God.
221, or 231?
Oh, they're too close.
Literally,
I'd go 2-3-1.
See, I'd seen. Is that like all comps or Premier League? Just Premier League.
That's...
How many
He
games?
said at the club.
At the club, so that's all comps. Because I know in the Premier League he was the fastest manager to 150 wins, I think.
Let's go 2-3-1. He's got to have won.
Okay, let's go for the highest one.
I mean,
then,
they've
'cause
been highest every
they've
time
been
so far. I don't know.
far. I mean, well, all the league cup games they'd won. Oh
that's a
yeah,
good point.
let's go with the highest. What was the highest one? Whatever the highest
2-3-1?
one. 2-3-1.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Wrong. It was 2-2-1.
Okay, well.
Well,
who
we've probably got
cares?
enough time for one more question.
Let's go. One more. Let's
One more
finish
question.
on Cristiano Ronaldo.
Of course.
Ronaldo scored against Newcastle on his return to Manchester United. How long had it been since his last Premier League goal?
Okay.
Had it been 12 years and 124 days, 13 years and 124 days, or 14 years?
I think it'd been 12.
12, I would say.
Because it was
He
2009.
won the Ballon d'Or in 2008, which was his last year at Man
It was
U,
the
and then he went
2008
to
and
Madrid.
2009 season.
Yeah.
So his last goal would have been in like.
We're gonna look really stupid if we get this wrong because we've just clarified.
No, but isn't it? It would have been like March, April, May of 2009.
Yeah.
Because his last season was 2008, 2009. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And he scored in 2021 in October.
So what was Is that 12 years? Is my math right?
I hope
12
so.
years and a couple months. What were the options? 12, 13, and 14
12,
years?
13 or 14.
It's got to be 12.
Yeah,
No,
I would go with 12.
21 minus 9
Let's rock the 12.
is
Go on.
12.
It
Am I
is
correct?
12.
Oh, our
Solid
maths.
performance.
Our maths here.
Wow,
Unbelievable.
Finished on a high.
Finished
We
on a
did.
bit of a high.
Fun
Okay,
little
what were we?
quiz.
3 for 4 on that?
Yeah, we
3
were.
for 4.
3 for 4. You know, I'd take 75%. That's a
bad.
first. That's a first class.
That is a
Take
first.
those.
That's a high
That's all we're after.
first.
I would take that on my submission that I'm going to be working on right now. Okay, and on that note, on that high note, that is going to be the end of the show. Thank you very much for tuning in on behalf of all of us here at Cardiff Met Sport TV. We hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.